everybody. Professor Goldstein here. Hope everybody's doing well. And wanted to just go over where we are right now. So I'm going to be posting our paper that will be due directly the day after Memorial Day. So your 5-page typed final paper will be due the day after Memorial Day. Make sure I'm just going to verbally say this even though I'm going to put it in writing. Make sure that your that's by the way, that's the last weekend of May. That's when Memorial Day, so it's a Monday, you're off. The Tuesday is when the paper is due. So let's get it straight. The Tuesday will be, I have to get you the exact date, but it's the day after Memorial Day, and your paper will be due that day. And it's a 5-page typed paper that you will be sending me via email as an attachment to your email. And the first page will have your aha moment where you came up with the idea for your business. And then the second part of that page, or even going into the second page, will be what your business is about. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, what your business is about and how you're going to describe it and what it means to have a business, and talk about it in a very, very brief manner. I'll be a little bit longer than what most people talk about it today, but you should tighten it up and make it 3 paragraphs, 2 paragraphs, not too much, just talking about your business as if you were on an elevator with somebody and they asked you about your business. So the way I thought I would talk about it, and the way the people in my business, the Cigar Lounge, said that I should talk about it, is like this: tell them about our businesses. So a lot of the people who hang around the Cigar Lounge during the day have work. They work. Either they work from the Cigar Lounge, or somebody is making money for them and they don't have to work, so they can sit around all day and smoke cigars. They're not retired. They still have businesses, but they basically don't have to go out and work with their hands, and they have businesses that are working, how do I say this, for them. There are businesses that are working for them, and they don't have to do much to do those businesses. So let me talk about, I'm going to talk about 3 businesses of people, 3 individuals that come to my Cigar Lounge pretty much every day and sit there and smoke cigars and make phone calls and sometimes get on their laptops and sometimes run out to handle whatever business they have to handle. And they're making, each one of them's making well above 6 figures, which is above $100,000 a year. They are not doing any work. They work from the cigar bar every day, Cigar Lounge every day. And let's talk about each business and how they came up with them. So the first gentleman I want to talk about is owns a logistics company. Now, if you don't know what a logistics company is, it's basically just a trucking company, a company that trucks things from one point to another point, usually from business to business. And you see these white trucks all over, or black trucks or whatever, all over the world on the highways. And you know, some of them are construction, some of this, but some of them are just, delivering things from one place to another. And what his business is, and he came up for the idea, which was that where I live in New Jersey, there are lots of warehouses, big warehouses, and this guy owned an old van that had, 30,000 miles on it, and it sat in his yard, and he would use it for, vacations, camping, things like that, but it really wasn't being used. And he said, you know what, let me go around to these warehouses and see if they have anything that needs to be delivered. And he went around and got a lot of rejections, and then one guy said, yeah, I just got rid of the last guy. I just need someone to deliver, about 30 boxes every single day to Washington and to Boston, to our distribution points in Washington, Boston. This is a clothing company in a warehouse. And he said, and I'll pay you for each trip. I think for the Washington trip he gets $1,000, so it's a round trip, $1,000 per trip, and for the Boston trip, I think he gets something like $1,200 or maybe even more, $1,300, and that was the initial thing. And so what he did was he bought another used van, so he had two vans, and every single day he hired a young kid that he paid a couple $100 to, and he would drive one van and the kid would drive the other van, and every day they would pick up the boxes at the warehouse and deliver them to the place in Washington and the place in Boston, and then come back to New Jersey where I live, and that was the whole job. It was, a couple hours to Washington, a couple hours back from Washington, a couple hours to Boston, a little longer to Boston, and he was making $2,300 a day gross. And obviously you're gonna have to pay for taxes, you're gonna have to pay for tolls, you're gonna have to pay for gas, you're gonna have to pay for insurance, you have to pay the person who's driving the van a salary. But he was making, and by the way, it was 6 days a week. 6 days a week, 2 trips a day. That's how he started his logistics company, and it was just 2 vans, him driving one and this kid that he hired driving another. And he was already making, in terms of gross, he was making close to $300,000. In terms of profit, he was making maybe $150,000 every year. And that was just like 6 or 7 years ago. And he now has 7 trucks, and he delivers all over Nashville, South Carolina, with his trucks pretty much on a daily basis. His vans go out. He doesn't drive them anymore. He hires drivers to do them. They make a certain amount, depending on how long the drive is. They make a certain amount driving and delivering these packages from this warehouse. The warehouse, it's really just 20 or 30 boxes in the back of the truck, and they're just boxes of clothes. And they load them onto the truck. The person just drives them there, gets a receipt, drives home with an empty truck. Sometimes he'll drive back with more stuff, which he gets paid for, because anytime they put stuff in your truck, it's really not a truck. It's like a white van, and he's making now well over $1 million a year, and in terms of gross. In terms of profit, I think he makes about $500,000 a year, whatever it is. It's still exceedingly good, and basically he just sits there on the phone, making sure that they're picking the stuff up, making sure that it's delivered, making sure that everybody's showing up for work that day, nobody's calling in sick. It's if somebody calls in sick, he'll drive it himself. But basically, that's the business. It's as simple as that, and you could put that in a paragraph. The business is logistics. The business is simple. It's simple to understand. He really just is a delivery service for business to business, and he gets paid for it. All right, next business. So I have a guy at my cigar lounge who comes in every day, and he usually brings lots of people come into the cigar lounge all day long who work for him. And he started out as a contractor, doing odd jobs at people's homes, working for somebody else. He's from the Dominican Republic. By the way, all these guys are from other places. They came to the United States with a couple of dollars in their pocket, and they've all made successes of themselves, including the logistics person, who is the logistics person is from, where is he from? I think he's from Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico. So my contractor is from the Dominican Republic, and he said, one day he did work on a person's house, and the person said, "Listen, you do a great job, tremendous. You're wonderful. I have a friend who needs some work done." Now, this guy was working for somebody else, but I have a friend who needs some work done. Would you be willing to meet with him and hear what kind of work he has to do? And so he went to his boss and he said, "Listen, this guy's offering me work." And the boss said, "No, you take it. I don't need to. I got plenty of work. You take it on your own. Do it on your own time, weekends, whatever." So this guy took the business on his own, and went over and did this work for this person, and hired like 2 guys to work for him, and did the work on the house. The house turned out to be the owner happened to be the owner of a large company that he said, listen, you are terrific, and I'm going to recommend you to all the people that work in my company and all the employees, and you should open up your own business. And this guy had never thought of opening his own business, and you could open it. He opened it up. He opened up either I think either an S corporation, or we'll talk about that later, or an LLC, and limited liability corporation, and he started his own business, and now he has, on any given day, 20, 30 employees, maybe more. They come in all the time, people who do, and he has 4 or 5 houses that he's working on at any given time. His reputation is impeccable. He does the job well. He's been doing it for years. Now I guess he's been doing it for 15 years, 10, 15 years now. He works hard. In terms of putting it all together, he has to go to the house, make sure, give them an estimate. But then once it's all done, once he's set that all up, his guys do all the work. He pays them. He sits in the cigar lounge on his phone ordering them around. They come in for orders. They come in to get orders from him while he's sitting there smoking a cigar. And they're doing all the work. And he makes, I don't know exactly how much he makes, but he's extraordinarily well-to-do. He does very, very well in his business. Now, so what is his business? His business is going to people's homes, building kitchens, building bathrooms, fixing people's roofs, but it's, contracting, just contracting work. He contracts with a person, he comes up with an estimate of what it's going to cost. They do a contract, quick contract, I think he even just does a handshake sometimes, but sometimes it's, an actual written contract, and he gets half the money up front, and then he starts the work, and then he gets half the money when he's finished. And usually that's the way it works. It's all cash, which I know is, by the way, that's, there's ways of, hiding that cash from the government. That's not exactly ethical and not exactly moral, but there are a lot of cash businesses that do that in this country. And his business is really all cash. So if somebody needs a new kitchen, he'll come in and put in a new kitchen. And kitchens can cost, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on what kind of kitchen you're having put in and what kind of materials you're going to use. And what he does is he has the people buy the materials. He'll pick up the materials or have the materials delivered to the house. And then his guys just do the demolition and put in all the materials. He doesn't even have to go and purchase the stuff. He tells them where to go to get the stuff. He gets them a discount, and they go and purchase the stuff. So that's second, business number 2. So 2 people who really aren't working anymore in terms of, they work. There's definitely, they're always thinking about their business, and but they're sitting there. They're sitting there and smoking cigars and enjoying themselves. Third business. So this guy I know at the cigar lounge has started a business where he does tutoring for the law school admissions test, which is the law school admissions test in order to get into law school and medical school, graduate school, college. You need to take the SAT, or some schools still require the SAT. He teaches for just the law school admissions test. He is a lawyer who doesn't practice anymore. Went to law school, got his law degree, took the LSATs to get into law school, doesn't practice anymore. But what he came up with was an idea where he would teach students over the internet. By the way, the law school admissions test is given 4 times a year. He teaches them over the internet, live, 4 times a week, like I'm doing right now, except live, on a Zoom, with 200 students. 200 students live on a Zoom. And then he teaches for an hour, and then he has an hour for questions. So they could ask questions for an hour. So he teaches for an hour, and then it's an hour for questions. So it's really 8 hours a week, right? 8 hours a week. And he also posts dozens and dozens of videos like I'm doing right now. Videos where he's talking about the taking of the LSAT and giving them the tricks and the things that they need to know and the different ways to take the test. And they actually take a test, a couple of tests during the class, and he talks to them through the test. It's a good program. Each person who, in order to take his class, and his class lasts 5 weeks, pays $2,900. And there are 200 people per class, 8 classes a year. So if you work out the math, it's a little bit more than $2 million a year that he's making teaching the class 8 hours, 5 weeks, 8 hours a week, 5 weeks, and putting up his videos. And basically that's the whole thing. Now he has built up his reputation. People come to him and want to take the class with him, but basically he's doing a job that doesn't require a lot of work, doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting, and yet he's making millions of dollars a year. It's a very simple explanation for a business. I can explain that business to you in 3 paragraphs, right? As I'm talking to you right now, you understand what his business model is. He's a tutor, basically a tutor for the LSATs, but he's tutoring 200 students at a time. He's charging them $2,900 a student. They don't even get any materials from him, no paper. They can download the materials. He has them up on his website. They can print them out, but he doesn't, no books, nothing. He doesn't have to pay. They don't have to pay for books. So he gets to keep all $2,900 that they pay. And so I've given you now 3 businesses of 3 individuals that I know. These are people who have come up with these businesses in their own head. They had an aha moment where they came up with these businesses. Somehow they thought about how they could make money, and they're not complicated. And a lot of them are businesses that already exist around the world, but they came up with their own concept of how they were going to do it, and they've made them successes. And they don't have to. I mean, they have to worry about the economics of the world, and are people going to still be doing home renovations if things turn down, if the economy turns down. They have to worry about are they going to keep the LSAT forever? I mean, it's been there for years and years and years. I took the law school admissions test. So is the LSAT going to be there forever? Am I going to still have these contracts with these companies to deliver things? Those are the things you have to worry about. These are not things that are, nothing is forever. But for right now, for the last many, whatever amount of years, each one of them, a decade, half a decade, whatever it is for each one of them, they've been very successful, lucrative businesses that they don't have to do a lot of work. Once they set the business up, they don't have to do a lot of work with the business, and they spend most of their time relaxing and enjoying life and traveling and having money for their children and for their grandparents and for their families and so forth. And that's a great thing. And that's something, and they're all their own bosses. Nobody tells them what to do, when to do it. Now, they have to answer to customers, obviously. The contractor has to answer to customers. The trucker has to answer but he's a private person, private contractor, but he still has to answer to the people that he delivers stuff for. And obviously the person who tutors has to answer to the people he teaches. But you're your own person. You have your own business. You don't have to answer to other people. You make your own decisions. You make your own. I'm going to get up at 10 o'clock this morning. I mean, none of these guys get up at 10 o'clock. They all get up at 6 o'clock in the morning because they have businesses and they worry about the businesses still going well. But it's a much more relaxed lifestyle. You're not 9 to 5. Nobody's looking over your shoulder, and it's a good thing for all of you. So when you write your wonderful paper, my dog just came over. When you write your wonderful paper that I'm sure I'm going to enjoy, and you come up with your great idea for your business, and you tell me about your business, just make it simple. So, because I'm not that smart. I'm not. There are people who are geniuses, and I met geniuses, and I know when I see a genius. But I'm not that smart. So explain it to your professor very simply what your business is. And explain it to yourself what your business is. Explain it to others. Explain it to your friends, your family members. Explain what your idea for a business is. See if they kind of say, "Oh, that doesn't sound right. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that?" But make sure that your business is tight, that it makes sense, and so there are two parts: the how you came up with the idea for the business, where you were, what background you had, how you came up with it. And the second part is explaining the business. And that's the excitement of business. You're excited about your business. You're excited about telling people about your idea because you're going to make a whole living off of this business that you've come up with. You're going to come up with an idea that's like going to make you, $250,000 a year, $1 million a year, $2 million a year, $10 million a year. Whatever it is, it's going to make you a lot of money. And you might have a regular job, and you could still do this business. Like a lot of these guys gave up their regular jobs to do this. So, a lot of the people I work with had regular jobs. Like I have a guy who's a teacher, high school teacher, basketball coach, who comes into the Cigar Lounge all the time. Now he's still teaching, but he has two businesses on the side, and I'll tell you about those businesses later. He has two businesses on the side that when he retires from coaching, which is soon, he's going to retire young from teaching. He's going to retire at 58, which is young. Usually people retire 66, 65. He's going to do full-time those businesses. So he's still going to retire, but he's going to have those businesses. And those businesses pretty much are like fun businesses for him. He enjoys those businesses, but he makes money. He doesn't make a lot of money off of them right now, but they will grow when he retires, and he'll build them up, and he'll be doing them full time, so that they both will do much better. And I'll tell you about. By the way, all of these people are entrepreneurs. The word entrepreneur. They are all people who have come up with ideas and started their own businesses by the sweat of their brow, but with their own two hands and their head and their heart and their soul. And they've built these businesses into things that they could be very proud of. They're all proud of what they've built. They're all excited to tell people about what they've built. They enjoy what they do. They enjoy talking about it. Even when it's not a good thing, they enjoy telling stories, and they enjoy getting the money, and they enjoy supporting their family, and they laugh about the fact that they're sitting there smoking their cigars and they're making money. That's a great thing, that they're making money and they're sitting there and they're smoking their cigars. Now, when I say smoking their cigars, I'm using it as a metaphor. I mean, I smoke cigars and do this, and other people do, but it's a metaphor, meaning that you could live your life in a way where you don't really have to work that hard if you could come up with a good business for yourself that makes money for you. Now, a lot of people have brick and mortar businesses. When I say brick and mortar, where you're paying rent and you have to be at the business all the time. I'm not talking about these. I'm talking about businesses that are removed from that, where you don't have to pay rent. The only thing about any of these businesses that really costs any money, the contractor obviously has to pay for his guys and the people who go out, and he owns trucks. And the guy who does the logistics also has to pay for his trucks. The guy who does the online doesn't have to do anything in terms of paying anybody. There's no overhead except for his basement, like my basement. So these are all people who've come up with businesses. You could come up with your own business too. That's why I'm teaching this. It's not just about these guys. It's about you. It's about every single one of you in this class. You can do this too. You can do this too. You can make your own business. You can create your own business. It's not hard. It's fundamental business. Just come up with an idea that you see that exists. Hey, there's some warehouses in my area. Maybe they need somebody. I have a van. Maybe they need somebody to deliver. Hey, this guy asked me. I was doing good work. This guy asked me to do his work. Hey, I could teach the LSATs. I think I'm good as a teacher. I know the law. I could teach it and teach it from the computer. I don't need to be in a room, and I could teach it to a lot of people. And if I could build up my reputation, more people will come every single year. This guy doesn't even advertise. They come to him, and they take his business. So that's going to be it for today. This is and I'll do another video this week and put up some videos. And I just want, so you now know your first page and a half page typed for your business plan that's going to be sent to me the first day after Memorial Day, which is the last weekend of May. That's the final. That's really, you're not going to have any tests. That's your final. And that's really all you're going to need to do I want to read that, and I want it to be tremendous, and that's really going to be your grade, okay? So make sure that everybody gets that in. I would start on that first page, that page and a half, and keep it to yourself. Don't give it to me. Keep it to yourself. Work on it a couple of times. Make sure you get a good business. Come up with a good idea. Come up with a business. And then we're going to go to your next page, which is going to be all about marketing and public relations for your business. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the finances of your business. And then we're pretty much done. Then you'll do competition and then the conclusion of your business. Okay? So have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.